top, Kilimanjaro. All my friends and family will know that I was going through a pretty rough time at the start of 2024. I had been challenging myself through the year, doing a few other physical challenges, doing my first marathon, that sort of thing. And I discovered that by doing these things, I got quite a strong sense of self-worth, and I felt a lot better about myself after completing them. Kilimanjaro came up in a conversation while at work one day, and straight away I knew it was the thing that I would be taking on next. I knew that it was the next challenge. But why Kilimanjaro? You know, out of all the challenges that you could do, why Kilimanjaro? It was affordable. I just sold my house at the time, and I don't think I'm ever going to have that much disposable money sat in my bank account waiting to be spent again anytime soon. But it was also achievable. You know, I can remember being younger and watching Chris Moyles and Cheryl Cole. I think Gary Barlow did it as well on Red Nose Day. They did it. If they can do it, I can definitely do it.
So we've just got to Kilimanjaro National Park. So we're just going to have some dinner, go to the toilet, get ourselves squared off, and then I believe we're going to start the walk. Which should be about 3 hours to the next camp, so not too much, shouldn't be too hard of a day. And then tomorrow should be when we start the harder trekking.
You know, it's crazy because it was only 2 weeks prior to this where I started planning it, and before you know it, you open your eyes and you stood at the foot of Mount Kilimanjaro, the biggest mountain in Africa, the biggest freestanding mountain in the world. And it was really slow on the first day. You know, we only had like 3 hours walking, and then we got to Camp 1, and that's when we got our first look at all the tents set up, and we got a look at the mess tent, the food tent, which is where we're going to be spending majority of our time when we're not climbing the mountain. We also had a toilet that was set up by one of the dedicated porters, and yeah, it was all a bit surreal to be stood on Mount Kilimanjaro in the middle of the jungle with a bunch of strangers that I'd only known for 24 hours. Yeah, it was so surreal. It felt like I was dreaming. It was so strange.
So we've just had the first dinner time. But yeah, it's really strange, being in the middle of the jungle in Tanzania, surrounded by monkeys and other animals making questionable noises. But yeah, we're going to be woken up tomorrow at 6 AM. And then we've got an hour to get changed, pack the bags, adjust, and then we've got another 6 hours walking, 7 hours walking until we get to Camp 2. And then, yeah, I shall update you when we get there.
So, the start of day 2, we woke up in the jungle and we started walking, and eventually we made our way into the next zone, which was moorland, and throughout this video you'll see the landscape changes. Kilimanjaro itself sits in, I think it's 5 zones, so obviously you've got civilization, rainforest, moorland, alpine desert, and then Arctic ice at the top, which is, it carries its own difficulties in each zone. This was the first day where we got a sense of what the following days were going to be like, because we've been walking for 6 hours, I think it was, and we also got a taste of the rain. Now the rain felt like it did not stop for 40 days and 40 nights. However, I think it was only 2 or 3 days, but it felt pretty bad, and all of us felt pretty hard done by. Megan in particular was, as soon as it started raining, her morale just dropped, you know. She was the most smiley, charismatic, bubbly character, and then a speck of rain hit her forehead and she just turned into one of the most depressing people you could ever be around. Sorry Meg, I didn't mean that. We then got to Camp 2, and after drying our clothes off and getting ourselves comfortable and actually getting a first glimpse of the mountain, we also had a lovely greeting by all 29 porters for 7 people, which is absolutely insane. But there's that much equipment that gets carried up on these things. Like I've already showed you the toilet, you had the mess tent, you've got the sleeping accommodation for all of the porters, the chef's cooking area. The work that goes in to these trips is astronomical. You do not believe how much equipment and stuff has to get slogged up the side of that mountain, and it's a testament to these porters, because let's be real, they're not getting paid a lot of money, although we tipped quite a lot at the end. Their basic wage isn't that much, and all of us chose Kandoo Adventure because they're one of the highest paying the companies on the mountain, whereas some companies just absolutely fleece these people because there's nothing in place from the government to give these people a good minimum wage.
And there we have it, day 2 complete. Sheila Camp 1, 3,610 meters, which is officially the highest I've ever been. We had quite a bad bit of rain on the way in, like half an hour of just absolutely annihilating it down rain. So even my waterproofs turned out to be not very waterproof, so we've got some wet clothes, but luckily it's still fairly warm. I don't know the exact temperature, but if I was to guess, I'd probably say like 22, 23, 24 degrees, something like that when the sun comes out. So we've got plenty of opportunity to dry all our clothes off, which is ideal. We don't want to be spending the next 4 days absolutely soaking wet through. So yeah, we've just had some snap, and we're gonna have a bit of like playing some games and then have some dinner, and then that's it. End of day 2, start day 3 tomorrow. Good morning from Sheila Camp 1. How are you feeling, Greg?
I feel great. I feel wonderful.
Are you excited for today?
I'm incredibly excited.
Are you?
I feel like I've been training for this my whole week.
we made it to Mwek Camp. How are we diddling?
Hi! I feel so much better. My appetite.
You are?
Yeah, but I know I need to eat.
Exactly, just continue eating.
Yeah.
That is the best.
So we're here on, I don't even know what day it is. Camp 3. And I think I'm starting to feel maybe the results of altitude, not sickness, but I don't know. I don't feel lightheaded, but I just feel maybe a little bit of a headache coming on. But I'm still eating good. I feel alright. I feel a little bit delirious, which is strange. But yeah, we've just had some food, some soup, some chicken, like fajita wraps almost, which were really good. And then in a few minutes time we're going to go for our first acclimatization walk. So we're going to walk up for about 150 meters, and then we're going to spend a little bit of time up there, let the body build up some red blood cells, and then we're going to come back down and sleep back at this camp. And then hopefully our blood oxygen will generate a little bit more, and that way we'll have a bit of a better chance of success of reaching the summit. But yeah, enjoying it. That's what it's all about, no?
You know, and they live all over now, and I still, it's great because even like when
So waking up at Mwek Camp, it was safe to say that my throat was dry. It was physically a lot colder than it had been on any other morning. It was so noticeable. And we then started the trek up to Lava Tower, which is a acclimatization walk, and it's also at the altitude where people start to feel the effects of altitude sickness the most. Now, I think there's a statistic that gets thrown about. I think it's 77% of people end up feeling some sort, maybe not all the way to the end of the scale, but some sort of altitude sickness. And Lava Tower is the altitude where that starts to happen. At Lava Tower, we had some food. We stayed there for maybe 2 hours, again just to get the body to build a few more red blood cells and get used to that sort of altitude. And then we made our way down to Barranco Camp, which on the way down I really took a turn for the worst. I mean, I had stomach cramps, I had a splitting headache that was just like, it wasn't a normal headache. It wasn't the worst headache I've ever had, but it didn't feel like a normal headache. It was like all around. It was so strange. I made it back to the tent and I was out like a light. I was gone. I must have slept for 2 hours before waking up for dinner and then having food and then going straight back to sleep, because I know that we had a big day ahead of us the next day, which was tackling the Barranco wall. Now, something that I should explain is every morning and every evening we get our blood oxygen read by the lead guide, and so far my blood oxygen had not dropped below 98%. So at sea level it had been at 199%, and all the way up until I got to Lava Tower it had stayed at 99-98%. When I got my blood oxygen read when we got to Barranco Camp, it was at 83%, which probably explained why I felt so bad.
Bought some wine gums to share around.
And I have, some chocolate. Like that, share. Thank you. All the food have been really good.
Yeah.
Everything is okay.
Everything is fabulous. So.
Good morning, good morning, good morning from Barranco Camp, which is situated at 3,900 meters elevation. That is Moshi, the city of Moshi behind us. That is, do you know what, I don't even think that's the summit behind us. But today we're tackling Barranco Wall, which is like notorious for being a bit sketchy. It's like a scrambling route, so it'll be a bit different today. A lot shorter walking distance, but a lot more technical scrambling, which I personally am really looking forward to. So hopefully I'll get a little bit of footage on the GoPro. I've been told that it's quite hard to film while you're doing the wall, so we'll have a look. But yeah, looking forward to today.
So the Barranco Wall, now for me personally, apart from the summit day obviously, this is probably my favourite day. The climb was a lot more technical, the day wasn't as long. Because you're doing a lot more technical climbing, you're not actually thinking about this monotonous walking 6, 7, 8 hours a day. So I found it really enjoyable. Some of the people in the group struggled, but at no point did we think that none of us were going to make it. For some of the people, this is the first day that they've done scrambling, which was absolutely mental in my eyes, because even for me that's got experience in scrambling, you know, it's one of the hardest scrambling routes I've had to do personally. Once we got to the top of the Barranco Wall, we all had pictures, and everyone's morale was back up then, the sun was out, and we made our way to the next camp. So we woke up at Karanga camp and we only had like a 3-hour walk to base camp. Base camp is obviously the last camp before the summit push. It's also the last chance that a helicopter can rescue you, I believe, and it's where most people set up for the last summit push. So upon arrival at base camp, and like every other camp, you actually have to sign in to let the marshals know and all the management on the mountain of your presence. And just after we signed in and we were walking towards the tent, a elderly gentleman with 2 porters either side of him, holding him up on either shoulder, came not walking but like waddling past us, green in the face. He'd obviously just attempted a summit push, and let me tell you, that is not something that you want to see hours before you're about to attempt it yourself. So we had about 1,400 meters of elevation in total to climb on the last night, which was considerably more than what we'd done the previous nights leading up to this. Not only that, but we're battling against minus 20 degrees Celsius and wind and sleep deprivation, and obviously the higher you go, the less oxygen there is. Once you're actually at the top or near the top, you're running on 50% oxygen than what you would be running on at sea level. Just to put that into perspective, it's like trying to breathe through a straw. It just is so hard.
Good morning, or Can you say good morning, good evening? It's currently 11 PM on Tuesday, and we've just been awoken for our final summit push. So I think we've got about a 7-hour trek to the top, and then up to 30 minutes at the top, and then between 3 and 5 hours back down, where we'll reach base camp again, and then we're going to go a further 3 hours, I think, back down to 3,000 meters. So yeah, wish us luck.
Okay guys, one team,
One dream,
one team,
one dream.
Okay, let's pray. Baba, katika jina la Yesu tunakushukuru kwa hatua hii, sio kwa uwezo wetu, tuwe salama kipindi chote tukiwa na wewe. Katika jina la Yesu Mungu nakushukuru, nasema amen.
Amen. Thank you, Robert.
Asante.
So the last night we were told that we were going to be starting our summit push at 11 PM, meaning that we had an estimated climbing time of about 7 hours, and we should get to the top for sunrise. I can't remember at what point, but as my altitude sickness started getting really bad and the stomach cramps came back and I got a headache and the back of my eyes were throbbing, I started seeing things. I started seeing monkeys that were hiding behind rocks and peeking out and like, looking at me. I saw Dobby, the house elf from Harry Potter. I was conscious enough to know that I was hallucinating. When it was going to stop, I don't know. But one foot after another, we walked up the side of that mountain for 7 or 8 hours. And for a good 5 hours of that, I was hallucinating. When we got to the top and I asked the lead guide whether hallucinating was normal or not, he said that if he heard that I'd been hallucinating further down the mountain, he'd have sent me back down. So, I mean, professional from his point of view, but thank God I didn't say anything to him. As soon as the sun came up, I stopped hallucinating and I felt so much better. So we got to Stella Point and there's another hour of walking after that. You can see the top from there, but it's deceivingly far away. You've got to walk all the way around the crater of the volcano. And I was asked if I felt okay. I said yes. I then proceeded to walk to the top, and I think it was clear to the lead guide that I was lying on my condition, which probably wasn't the most sensible thing to do, but I don't know, I'd already made it that far. There was nothing that was going to stop me from getting to the top of that mountain. I then started to deteriorate quite rapidly. I was feeling faint. I was completely... I had 0 calories, carbs, glycogen left in my system. There was no energy there whatsoever. I was running on complete empty. Me and Megan decided that getting down as fast as possible would be the best solution. So we ended up running down back to base camp, which took us 7 hours to get up, and it took us about an hour and a half to get back down. So yeah, we really put our foot down on the way down. When we got to base camp, we were greeted by what I can only describe as just pure relief in song. The porters were singing a traditional congratulations song. They came in and greeted us, put some chairs down for us. They poured some orange juice into a glass and gave it us, and just that bit of sugar was so nice. we went to sleep for maybe 2 or 3 hours while we were waiting for everyone else, and then we walked a further 3 hours down to the next camp, which was at 3,000 meters. So at this camp, we was actually baked a lovely coffee cake, which again, it's incredible. You know, we're on the side of a mountain, and we're on day 8 at this point, and they're making coffee cake for us. Yeah, it was our time then to say thank you to the porters and just the effort that they went into it. You know, we all saw it firsthand, them ferrying water back and forwards, carrying the tents, carrying all the gear. They were just amazing, you know, it was inspiring.
I need some help with the other boxes.
Our testimonial. Dear future children. Happy
I think the Rome has been better roads.
Yeah.
It's still last.
Maybe like a version. Yeah.
Interesting.
Climbed that one. Yesterday, just yesterday.
Is that Muru? Is it Muru?
I don't know.